Why even high earners can't buy a home. There's a very specific kind of headline going around right now, and it goes something like this. Software engineer, household income well over $150,000, still renting. Two doctors, combined income near $300,000, priced out of their own neighborhood. This isn't the "I'm bad with money" crowd. These are people doing everything the system told them to do. Get the degree, get the team, get the raison, and yet the finish line of actually owning a home keeps sliding further away every single year, no matter how fast they run at it. So today we're going to break down exactly why a six-figure salary, which used to be the ticket to basically anything, has quietly become just the price of admission to even start the conversation. To understand how strange this actually is, you need the baseline number first. As of the fourth quarter of 2025, the monthly payment on a median-priced home in America hit $3,100. Back in early 2020, that same payment was $1,700. To comfortably cover that new payment, a household now needs an income of over $120,000, up from $66,000 just 5 years earlier. That's not a typo, and it's not inflation catching up gently over time. That's the income requirement nearly doubling in half a decade, while actual wages did not remotely keep pace. And this isn't some fluke of the national average either. In Hawaii, a household needs to earn just over $191,000 to afford the median home, but the typical household there only earns $98,000, a gap of more than $93,000. California isn't far behind, with a required income around $192,600 against a median household income of just $100,600. These aren't outlier mansions we're talking about. This is the median, the regular, unremarkable three-bedroom house. So naturally, the question becomes, why is a six-figure income suddenly the bare minimum instead of the comfortable cushion it used to be? And there are really four forces stacking on top of each other here. And the first one is what I'll call the double squeeze. Home prices didn't just rise, mortgage rates rose right alongside them. And those two things multiplying together is what actually breaks a budget. A buyer in 2020 was financing a cheaper home at a mortgage rate near 3%. That same buyer today is financing a meaningfully more expensive home at a rate that's more than doubled. It's the financial equivalent of a car getting more expensive at the same time gas prices spike. Except you can't just decide to drive less. You either buy the house at today's combined price or you don't buy it at all. Which leads us neatly into the second problem, which is that the goalposts for afford it have physically moved to a different part of the map. 4 years ago, needing a six-figure income to buy a typical home was basically a California and New York problem. Today, that threshold applies in 23 states, up from just 7 in 2020, and it now includes places nobody would have called expensive a decade ago, like Utah, Montana, and Idaho. People genuinely move to these states specifically to escape high home prices, only for prices to eventually chase them there anyway. It's less like the goalposts moved, and more like someone picked up the entire field and set it down 3 states over. The third problem is the one that actually explains why even genuinely high earners are stuck, and it's an inventory mismatch. According to the National Association of Realtors, households earning between $50,000 and $100,000 used to have access to 44% of the homes on the market in a healthy, balanced housing environment. Today, that number has collapsed to 23%. Builders and sellers have quietly shifted almost all new supply toward the top of the market because that's where the profit margins are, which means even buyers who technically qualify on paper are stuck fighting over a shrinking slice of homes that actually match their budget. And once you're a high earner competing for that same shrinking slice, you're not just up against other high earners anymore. You're up against a market that simply stopped building the kind of home you actually wanted to buy. And that ties directly into the fourth and probably sneakiest problem of all, the golden handcuffs effect. Millions of existing owners are still sitting on mortgages they locked in back when rates were near 3%. Selling that home means giving up a payment that will never exist again and buying back into the market at more than double the rate. So a huge number of people who would otherwise sell simply aren't, which keeps existing inventory locked away and artificially thin. It's the housing market equivalent of everyone agreeing to keep their seat at a game of musical chairs even after the music stops, because standing up means losing the good seat forever. The result is a market where even six-figure earners are bidding against each other for a genuinely smaller pool of available homes, which pushes prices up even further for everyone still standing. Now, to be fair, there are pockets where this math looks a lot better. In places like Pittsburgh, Detroit, and St. Louis, a median income can still comfortably buy a median home. And that gap actually closed in a handful of states over the last 2 years. But those tend to be the exceptions precisely because they didn't attract the same wave of remote workers, investors, and relocating high earners that turned other markets upside down in the first place. And that's really the twist nobody wants to hear. The very fact that you earn a good salary can, in some markets, be part of the problem, because you're not just competing against your rent-burdened neighbor anymore. You're competing against every other high earner who had the exact same idea about which cities were still affordable. So when you put all four of these forces together, higher rates on higher prices, moved goalposts, a shrinking supply of homes that fit real budgets, and an entire generation of sellers who are financially incentivized to just stay put, you get a market where a six-figure income stopped being a solution and became simply the entry fee. It's not that high earners are bad with money, and it's not that the home they're chasing is unreasonable. It's that the finish line has been quietly moving the entire time they were running toward it. And unless something changes on the supply side, that finish line isn't slowing down anytime soon. And maybe that's the actual lesson buried in all of this. For decades, a good income was treated as the whole strategy. Earn enough, and eventually the house just happens. But in a market where the finish line moves faster than most raises do, income alone was never going to be enough on its own. And pretending otherwise is exactly how so many high earners ended up blindsided by their own bank statements. The fix isn't really about working harder or earning more, since plenty of people already tried that and still came up short. It's about understanding that this is a supply problem wearing an income problem's clothes, and no amount of personal discipline was ever going to fully solve it alone. So, if you're one of the people stuck in this exact math right now, the uncomfortable truth is that patience and geography are doing more heavy lifting than your salary is. And don't forget to like and subscribe to keep on learning how money works.